Introduction: The Trap of Comparison and Its Hidden Dangers. From the very moment we gain awareness of our surroundings, society subtly trains us to measure our worth by comparing ourselves to others. Whether in school, work, social settings, or even family, we constantly assess our value against the perceived success of those around us. But what if comparison is not just harmless observation, but a hidden thief, quietly robbing us of our joy, confidence, and ultimately our potential? Today, I invite you on a deeply personal journey, my journey. A journey through self-doubt, discovery, and ultimately triumph. It is a story that profoundly changed my life, and by sharing it, I hope to ignite in you a similar transformation. By the end of this story, you'll hold in your hands a powerful secret to true happiness and success. I grew up near the peaceful village of Vishnupur, nestled amidst a lush, vibrant forest, rich with countless species of trees, vibrant flowers, and gentle wildlife. The village, though small and modest, was filled with the warmth and kindness of its inhabitants, who treated each other like extended family. As a child named Raghav, I was recognized early on for my diligence and integrity. My parents were humble people who valued honesty and hard work above everything, instilling these virtues in me from an early age. They encouraged me to strive for excellence, often saying that hard work was the key to happiness and success. Yet despite their encouragement and my earnest efforts, there was a shadow that followed me constantly. Beneath my outward appearance of dedication and sincerity, I carried an invisible yet overwhelming burden, a persistent and troubling habit of comparing myself to others around me. This habit began subtly, rooted perhaps in innocent admiration or natural curiosity, but it quickly spiraled into something more destructive. It was like an ever-growing vine, wrapping itself around my confidence and choking the joy out of my accomplishments. At first, the comparisons were simple. I admired those who excelled in areas where I struggled. But admiration soon morphed into self-doubt. Each time I saw someone performing better than me, I felt as if I had failed, even when I had put forth my best effort. This mental game of constant evaluation drained me. It wasn't just about academics or material wealth, it extended into every facet of my life. I watched as others made friends effortlessly while I struggled to hold conversations. I envied those who spoke with confidence while my voice trembled with uncertainty. Even when I achieved something significant, the joy was fleeting because I would soon find someone who had done it better. No matter how hard I tried, I never felt like enough. As these comparisons intensified, so did my anxiety. I began avoiding situations where I feared being outshined. Social gatherings became unbearable, as I was always fixated on how I measured up against those around me. My relationships suffered, and my enthusiasm for learning faded. The more I compared, the more isolated I became, convinced that I was inherently inferior to those around me. This toxic mindset kept me trapped, unable to recognize my own strengths. It wasn't until a profound encounter changed my perspective that I finally began to break free from the cycle of self-comparison. I vividly recall the countless times I would watch my classmates, especially my friend Karen, achieve remarkable academic successes seemingly without effort. Each time I observed him effortlessly solving complex problems or flawlessly completing his assignments ahead of everyone else, my heart would sink a little deeper into despair. Why can't I be as smart as him? I'd silently lament, feeling my self-worth diminish with each passing moment. These comparisons weren't limited to academics alone. My neighbor, Siddhar, whose family had considerable wealth, became another benchmark against which I unfairly measured myself. Their luxurious home, stylish clothing, and seemingly carefree lifestyle only highlighted what I perceived to be my own shortcomings and lack of resources. The envy that quietly consumed me whenever I witnessed Siddhar's carefree demeanor or the comforts he enjoyed slowly ate away at my sense of gratitude and contentment. Even mundane moments in everyday life became points of comparison that magnified my insecurities. When someone outran me during games or spoke more eloquently during gatherings, I immediately felt inadequate, constantly questioning why I couldn't measure up. Gradually, these seemingly small instances coalesced into an overwhelming feeling of inadequacy, forming chains of self-doubt that bound me emotionally and mentally. My education suffered significantly. Once an eager and motivated student, I began to lose interest in studying, convinced that no matter how hard I worked, I would never surpass or even match those I so deeply envied. My once vibrant enthusiasm dwindled, replaced by growing apathy and lethargy. These feelings weren't confined to schoolwork alone. My relationships, hobbies, and overall outlook on life began to suffer, becoming collateral damage in my ongoing internal struggle. This destructive cycle of constant comparison drained my joy, blurred my sense of identity, and made me increasingly anxious about my future. What began as an innocent childhood habit had grown into a significant barrier, stopping me from discovering my true potential or recognizing my unique gifts. My life had turned into an endless pursuit of others' successes, causing me to overlook my own strengths and dreams. Little did I know that recognizing this destructive habit would be the first step towards an incredible journey of self-discovery, transformation, and ultimately, personal triumph. I vividly remember the gnawing sensation of inadequacy whenever I saw my classmate, Karen, effortlessly achieving top grades. His understanding of complex subjects seemed almost effortless, and while I spent hours struggling with my studies, he grasped concepts in mere minutes. I often found myself wondering, why can't I be as smart as him? What does he have that I don't? The more I obsessed over his success, the more I overlooked my own progress. When I encountered Siddhar, my wealthy neighbor whose life seemed perfect, envy quietly whispered, "If only I had his wealth!" His family lived in a grand house, while mine was modest. He wore the finest clothes, while I made do with simple garments. He had access to the best tutors, while I studied with whatever books I could borrow. I imagined his life to be free of worries, completely detached from the struggles I faced daily. The illusion of his effortless success made me blind to the unseen struggles he too might have had. Even trivial moments became sources of self-doubt. When I saw someone run faster during a village race, I wished my legs could carry me with the same swiftness. When I heard others speak with confidence, effortlessly captivating an audience, I wished I could command the same attention. Every small event became a reminder of what I lacked, reinforcing the belief that no matter how much effort I put in, I would always be a step behind. These comparisons didn't push me to improve, they paralyzed me. They made me feel trapped in a life where I was destined to be second best, forever longing for qualities that others possessed. The more I focused on what I wasn't, the less I appreciated what I was. It was a toxic cycle, one that dimmed my motivation and clouded my perception of my own abilities. I was caught in a storm of self-doubt, unaware that my perspective, not my circumstances, was the real problem. Gradually, these comparisons became chains, weighing me down emotionally and mentally. My studies declined, motivation dwindled, and my self-esteem plummeted. I was trapped in an endless cycle of self-doubt, believing that no matter what I did, I would never measure up. Then, one day, news spread through the village. A wise saint, known for illuminating the deepest truths of life, had arrived. He was said to have traveled far and wide, from distant lands where great scholars and spiritual masters resided, bringing with him stories of enlightenment and self-discovery. It was rumored that his mere words had the power to lift even the heaviest burdens of the mind. As soon as he entered the village, people flocked to see him, their eyes filled with curiosity and reverence. He did not wear the extravagant robes of a nobleman nor carry the riches of a king, yet his presence alone commanded respect. Wrapped in a simple yet flowing white garment, with a long staff in hand, he exuded an air of profound wisdom and tranquility. His eyes, deep and knowing, held secrets to life that many longed to understand. Children peeked from behind their parents, eyes wide with wonder, while the elderly whispered stories of past sages who had brought wisdom to their ancestors. Merchants paused their trade, their curiosity stronger than the allure of commerce. Farmers, still weary from the day's labor, found themselves drawn to his aura, as if he carried the answers to questions they had never dared to voice. As he walked, he did not hurry, nor did he seek attention. Instead, it was as if the earth itself welcomed him, his steps light yet purposeful. He moved through the village with a quiet assurance, acknowledging each person with a gentle nod, making every individual feel seen, as though he understood their struggles without them uttering a single word. The air felt different in his presence, as if the weight of worries was momentarily lifted. The usual chatter of the village softened, replaced by an anticipatory silence, as if all awaited a moment that had been written long before their time. And in that moment, something within me stirred, a quiet hope, an inkling that perhaps this man had the answers I had sought for so long. The villagers spoke of miracles, of the transformations he had inspired in others. Some claimed he had healed the broken-hearted, while others whispered of men who had found their purpose in his words. Parents brought their children, hoping for a blessing, elders bowed, seeking wisdom, and young men like myself stood in the shadows, unsure if we were worthy of his time. For days I debated whether I should approach him. The weight of my own self-doubt made me hesitant. Was my problem even significant enough for a man of such wisdom? Would he dismiss my worries as trivial? Yet, as each day passed, I grew more restless. The whispers of my own insecurities were louder than ever, and I knew I needed to silence them once and for all. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and gold, I found him seated beneath the great banyan tree at the heart of the village square. He sat with an air of stillness, as if he belonged not to this world but to something far greater. The gentle rustling of leaves created a rhythmic whisper, as if nature itself was listening to his silent presence. Around him, a few villagers sat at a respectful distance, their faces illuminated by the fading sunlight, watching with admiration and quiet awe. A soft breeze carried the scent of jasmine through the air, mingling with the earthy aroma of the old banyan tree. Birds chirped their last songs of the day before settling into their nests, as if signaling the world to slow down and listen. I hesitated, my heart pounding. Would he even acknowledge my presence? Would my worries seem insignificant compared to those of others? For a moment, doubt crept in, urging me to turn away, to remain unnoticed in the crowd. But something about his aura, his unwavering serenity, pulled me forward. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my self-doubt pressing against my chest, and stepped closer. Each footstep felt heavier, yet with each one, the burden I had carried for years seemed to loosen, if only slightly. It was in that moment, with the last rays of sunlight casting long shadows around us, that I gathered the courage to approach him, ready to seek the answers that had eluded me for so long. Desperate for guidance, I hesitated at first, unsure if my worries were worthy of his wisdom. But as the days passed, my heart grew restless, and I could no longer ignore the longing for clarity. Gathering my courage, I approached him one evening as he sat beneath the great banyan tree, the golden hues of sunset casting long shadows over the village square. Taking a deep breath, I confessed my struggle. Gurudev, no matter how hard I try, every success of others makes me feel smaller. I see them excelling in ways I cannot, and it fills me with doubt and sadness. I feel as though I will never be enough. Please help me escape this torment. The saint listened patiently, his deep, knowing eyes reflecting a kindness I had never encountered before. After a moment of silence, he smiled gently and offered an unexpected instruction. Meet me at the oldest tree in the village at dawn tomorrow. Your answer awaits you there. Though skeptical, hope stirred within me. That night, I lay awake, my mind racing with questions. What lesson could a tree possibly hold? Would I truly find the answers I sought? As the village quieted and the stars blinked down upon me, I resolved to find out. The saint smiled gently and offered an unexpected instruction. Meet me at the oldest tree in the village at dawn tomorrow. Your answer awaits you there. Though skeptical, hope stirred within me. I eagerly awaited sunrise, wondering if my suffering would soon end. At sunrise, I found the saint already at the ancient tree, standing with his hands gently resting on its rough bark as if he could hear the whispers of time within its trunk. The morning mist still lingered, wrapping the forest in a veil of mystery. He gestured for me to look around and truly observe, not just see. I noticed the towering trees stretching towards the sky, their branches woven into a natural cathedral of green. Some trees bore heavy clusters of ripe fruit, their fragrance sweet in the crisp morning air, while others stood tall and proud, offering shelter and shade but no fruit. Tiny wildflowers peeked from beneath thick roots, adding bursts of color to the earthy tones of the forest floor. "What do you see?" the saint asked, his voice as gentle as the morning breeze. I hesitated before replying. "I see a forest full of different trees, some grand and tall, some small and quiet. Some provide fruit, others give shade, and yet, despite their differences, they all contribute to the harmony of the forest. Each tree plays its role, whether by offering nourishment, shelter, or simply standing firm, adding to the beauty of the landscape. The mighty oaks provide strength, the mango trees bear sweet fruit, and the slender willows dance gracefully with the wind. None of them compete, and yet together, they create a thriving, balanced world of their own. A knowing smile crossed the saint's face. Yes, and do you think any of them wish to be something they are not? Would the great banyan tree envy the mango tree's fruit, despite its sprawling roots providing shelter to many? Would the mango tree long to be as tall as the coconut palm, forgetting that its sweetness brings joy to those who taste its fruit? And would the coconut tree, standing tall against the wind, resent the sturdy oak for its deep, unmoving roots? Each tree plays a role that no other can replace. Their strength is in their individuality, and their harmony comes from accepting what they were meant to be. I laughed at the thought. No, that would be foolish, I admitted. The saint nodded. Exactly. The forest is beautiful precisely because each tree serves its unique purpose. Similarly, every human life is different, each person has their own journey, and comparison only blinds us to our true worth. When we measure ourselves against others, we overlook our own value and the purpose we were meant to fulfill. Then, the saint asked me something intriguing. If the mango tree lamented that it wasn't tall like the coconut tree, stretching endlessly toward the sky, or if the coconut tree wished desperately to bear mangoes, envying the sweetness it could never provide, what would happen? Would the mango tree, in its sorrow, stop bearing fruit and deny the world its sweetness? Would the coconut tree, in its frustration, cease to stand tall against the wind, forgetting its role in offering refreshing nourishment? Would their discontent transform them into something they were never meant to be, or would it only strip away the unique gifts they were destined to share? And if these trees spent their lives longing to be something else, who would fulfill the roles they were meant to serve? Who would offer shade to the weary traveler, fruit to the hungry, or strength against the storms? Their comparisons would not change their essence. It would only leave the world a little less whole, a little less beautiful, a little less abundant. I smiled, realizing the absurdity. That would be foolish, I admitted. Exactly, he said softly. The forest is beautiful precisely because each tree serves its unique purpose. Similarly, each person's life journey is unique and incomparable. When we measure ourselves against others, we overlook our own value. To deepen the lesson, the saint took me to a serene pond, where the water shimmered under the golden hues of the setting sun. Gentle ripples disturbed the stillness as fish darted beneath the surface, their glistening scales catching the light. In the distance, a heron stood motionless, patiently waiting for its next meal. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and the soft rustling of leaves. The saint pointed upwards, where a bird glided effortlessly across the sky, its wings stretched wide, cutting through the wind with ease. "Look closely," he murmured, his eyes filled with wisdom. "For here lies another truth about life. Imagine," he said gently, "the fish becoming unhappy because it cannot fly. Would that make sense?" No, I realized. The fish excels in swimming, the bird in flying. Then why, he asked, do you strive to imitate others instead of nurturing your unique strengths? At that moment, clarity flooded through me like a river breaking free from a dam. It was as if a veil had been lifted, revealing a truth that had been in front of me all along. I had been measuring myself against standards that were never meant for me. My constant comparisons had not only blinded me to my inherent worth but had also kept me from recognizing my own strengths, my own journey, and the unique path that was mine alone to walk. That encounter transformed my life in ways I never imagined. I stopped comparing myself to others and began to recognize the strengths and abilities that had always been within me. Rather than seeking validation through external achievements, I focused on honing my natural talents, setting personal goals, and embracing my unique journey. My confidence did not return overnight. It was a gradual process of self-discovery, filled with moments of doubt and self-reflection. But as I persisted, I found joy in my progress, no longer shackled by the fear of being less than someone else. Over time, I rekindled my passion for learning, my love for creativity, and a deep appreciation for my own path in life. What once felt like a burden had become my greatest source of strength, and my life began to take on new meaning, one rooted in self-acceptance and growth. Years later, leveraging my unique strengths, I achieved significant success, not just in my career but in all aspects of my life. I built a thriving business that reflected my personal values and strengths, ensuring that every decision I made aligned with the lessons I had learned along my journey. But more importantly, I became an inspiration in my community, helping others recognize their own potential and guiding them away from the trap of comparison. I began giving talks at local schools, sharing my story with students who struggled with the same insecurities I once had. I saw their eyes light up when they realized they were not alone in their feelings, and I watched as newfound confidence took root within them. I started workshops aimed at fostering self-belief and personal development, guiding young minds toward their own paths of fulfillment. With time, my impact expanded beyond my community. I wrote a book detailing my experiences, hoping to reach those who needed reassurance that their journey was unique and valuable. I received letters from people across different walks of life, thanking me for helping them find clarity and peace in their own struggles. Witnessing the transformation in those who learned to embrace their individuality became my greatest reward, proving that true success is not measured by how we compare to others but by how we empower ourselves and those around us. Whenever asked about my secret, my response was always clear. Never compare yourself. A fish can't fly, but when it masters swimming, it rules the ocean. Likewise, an eagle cannot swim, yet it soars where no fish can reach. True fulfillment comes not from wishing to be something we are not, but from embracing who we are meant to be. Find your ocean, find your sky, and you will thrive. True fulfillment emerges when you shift your focus from competing with others to nurturing your own growth. The wisdom of the forest, the pond, and my journey teaches us that each of us possesses unique strengths, a personal timeline, and an individual purpose. When we let go of comparison, we unlock the limitless potential within us, allowing our true selves to flourish. Success is not about surpassing someone else. It is about embracing our own path and becoming the best version of ourselves. The next time you're tempted by comparison, pause and remind yourself that no two journeys are the same. What you see in others is only a fraction of their story, just as your own path is unfolding in ways that only you can fully understand. Embrace your strengths, honor your progress, and trust that your true potential is already within you, waiting to be realized.